Hello. I never come on here and do 2 Facebook Lives in one day, but this is a day that I'm gonna do this. I just got off of a extremely powerful group coaching session with my wonderful girls and young women that are in my program. And I just wanted to come on here to share this with all of you. Your daughter deserves to love herself. And I am seeing, look, we live in a world, we live in a society where so many people every single day are struggling with their self-esteem. They're struggling. They don't feel enough. They don't feel worthy. They don't feel deserving. This is not just a teen girl and young women thing, although I am talking about them. But this is like adults too. This is everyone. So people are feeling unworthy. They're feeling, like they're a waste of space. They're feeling like, what's the point to their lives? They're feeling like they don't have any hope. And what I want to say on this Facebook Live, because I lost it on the group coaching session. I just led the girls through an incredible healing that we did. And I just broke down and I started sobbing because it was so powerful and moving to me. And majority of the girls were also crying as we moved through this healing work that we did. And what I want to say to all of you is this. If your daughter is struggling in her life, if your daughter is struggling with, I've been talking all day long, so I'm gonna, hopefully I still have some voice left in me. If your daughter is struggling with anxiety, if she's struggling with depression, if she's cutting herself, if she has an eating disorder, if she has suicidal thoughts, I'm here to tell you that your daughter's self-esteem is so connected to all of these other mental health issues that are showing up in her life. And this is the thing that oftentimes is not even addressed. We try to fix the symptoms. We're trying to fix the anxiety and depression. And these are symptoms, okay? Anxiety and depression and suicidal thoughts and cutting. These are the symptoms. And what we really need to understand is we have to get to the root issues. And one of the root issues that is so prevalent for most teen girls and young women is this. They do not know how to love themselves. I hear so many girls tell me that they feel like they are a waste of space, that they don't feel enough. They don't feel like they are deserving of love. They don't feel like they matter. They don't feel like they are important. Now, it might sound like whatever coming from me, but when you are sitting in front of, I've got, a bunch of girls in my group, and they are all telling me the same thing, that they see themselves as in this way, not deserving, not enough, not lovable, like they don't matter, like they are a waste of space. We have to talk about this and what needs to change. What needs to change is we need to focus more on teaching these girls what is really important. What we need to focus on is teaching these girls how to love themselves. Because, again, I've said this before, the grades, the achievements, the getting into college, the getting the good career, that's great, that's fine. But what happens when your daughter is not loving herself? What happens when your daughter has no self-worth, no self-value? Her life is going to be so difficult because she hasn't mastered the one thing that is the most important thing, which is loving herself. I talk about this a lot. It's so important. And it's so important that your daughter gets this now, that she doesn't waste her life hating herself and feeling ugly and undeserving and unworthy and all of the things, because when your daughter has those beliefs about herself, life is not going to be good for her, right? When your daughter is struggling with who she is. I had one girl on our group session today, and she said this. She was like, because we did this healing work, and she said, I've never really connected with myself in this way. And I think she's 19 years old. And most girls haven't either. They haven't ever connected with themselves. Because again, we live in a society where it's a lot of like busyness, right? And a lot of these girls learn this busyness from school. They learn it from you guys too. If you are a doer, you're like, gotta get the dinner prepared, and gotta pick up the kids, and I gotta do this, and we gotta do this. And kind of like a lot of girls are living in this world where it's like, we have to be busy all of the time. I have to be productive. I have to do. I have to go achieve. And what these girls are failing to recognize is they don't have a clue of who they are and who they want to be, because they are so disconnected within themselves. Some of these girls cannot even sit with for 5 minutes to meditate, because connecting with themselves brings up so much shit that they don't want to deal with. And how much stuff does your daughter have that she's not dealing with because she's trying to keep busy, because she's going on social media, because she's going on Netflix, she's hanging out with friends, she's doing all the busyness work. She's being busy because she doesn't want to feel. She's being busy because she doesn't want to connect with herself. And when your daughter is disconnected with who she is, life is hard for her. But when your daughter is connected, when your daughter learns how to connect with herself, how to be a safe space for herself, that's when things change. A lot of girls don't feel like they had that sense of safety when they were growing up. And this is nothing against you parents, but I got to speak truth here. Even if it ruffles some feathers, I got to speak my truth. A lot of girls didn't grow up in a safe environment. Maybe there was yelling at home. Maybe there was, trauma that was going on. A lot of girls don't have that sense of safety when they were younger. And so today, as they are older, they don't know how to bring in that sense of safety for themselves. They don't know how to calm themselves down. They don't know how to bring in that inner peace because they never had it in childhood. And a lot of adults are struggling with this as well. Because if we didn't get it when we were younger, how do we know how to give it to ourselves? Right? How do we know how to be there for ourselves? These are the things that they don't teach us in school. Right? Like, how can your daughter be there for herself so she doesn't have to go get a blade and cut herself or have suicidal thoughts? How can she be there with her emotions and say, you've got this, I'm here for you, I love you? How many girls are doing this? Girls are not doing this. They don't know how to become that safe space for themselves. And here's what a lot of girls are doing. They're running to other people in the hopes that other people will give them this. How many girls are getting into abusive relationships, codependent relationships, relationships with narcissists who pretend to be someone, and then eventually show them their true colors. But these girls are, what's the word I'm looking for? They get enmeshed in these relationships because they're trying to get something that they can't give to themselves. Maybe at the beginning, before the relationship turned toxic, maybe they did feel a sense of love. Maybe they did feel a sense of, oh my gosh, this person really cares about me. And here's the deal. If your daughter doesn't know how to give that to herself, she's going to spend the rest of her life seeking that out. Failed relationship after failed relationship after failed relationship, because she doesn't know how to give herself that love. She doesn't know how to give herself that sense of feeling worthy, feeling like she's enough. This is the cycle that we need to stop, parents. We need to stop this right now, because more and more girls, they don't know how to feel worthy, how to feel enough, and then they spend the rest of their lives trying to find that outside of them. And that's backwards. It's wrong. And how many of you parents may also be doing the same things, or maybe you got stuck in this loop as well because nobody taught you how to love yourself. Nobody taught you how to connect with yourself. Right? So you can't teach your daughter what you don't know, right? This is no blame, no shame. I'm saying like what goes on here. So a lot of these girls are completely disconnected with who they are. They abandon themselves every chance that they get because they don't know how to come face to face with who they are. Because that is terrifying. And that freaks a lot of these girls out. When these girls are so overwhelmed that they are cutting, when these girls are so overwhelmed that the first thing that they know how to do is think of suicidal thoughts, how they can get out of this, how they can just end everything. Do you think these girls know how to connect with themselves? Do you think these girls know how to become a safe space for themselves? And say things like, I've got you. I'm here for you. We're going to get through this. They don't have a clue. And this is the thing that you need to, this is the thing that changes everything for these girls. This is what you should want for your daughter. It's not so much about fixing the anxiety and fixing the depression and fixing the self-harm and fixing the suicidal thoughts and fixing the eating disorder and fixing. Why don't we look at healing? Why don't we look at your daughter connecting with herself? Why don't we look at your daughter taking control of her mind so her mind doesn't control her? Why don't we start looking at some different things to get a different outcome? The mental health system is flawed. The mental health system is getting a lot of these girls worse, and they're not getting better. And if your daughter has gotten better, fantastic. Then I'm not talking to you. But if your daughter is struggling, I am talking to you. Because these girls are going through the mental health system and they're not getting any better and they're getting worse. And as time goes on, they get worse and worse. Because this doesn't just get better on its own. It gets worse. The more time that goes by where your daughter is hating herself, living in a state of self-loathing, self-hatred, self-rejection, abandoning herself every chance that she can get, it doesn't end well for these girls. And so what we need to be looking at is something different. What we need to be looking at is how can these girls start connecting within themselves? How can they start changing the relationship that they have with themselves? How can these girls start loving themselves for who they are? Thank you, Stephanie. This is the work. Nobody wants to do the work. Everyone wants a quick fix. Everyone wants the medication. Everyone says, let's just send my daughter to an inpatient or outpatient, therapy for a year, therapy for 2 years. Surely she's going to get better from all of this. And what if it's not happening? What if your daughter isn't getting better? What if the doctors and everything the doctors are saying, and you're doing all the things and you're like, look, I'm not blaming any parent that's watching this, okay? I know that there are so many parents in this Facebook group. You're trying everything to help your daughter. But what we need to look at is if what you are trying, is it working or is it not? Is it one inpatient after another? Is it one outpatient after another? Is it one therapist after one therapist after one therapist? Is it medication after medication after medication after medication? And surely something's got to work here. Something's got to fix. Something's got to fix my daughter because she hates herself. And I'm like, it's hard for me to see so many girls in self-loathing. And it's hard to see so many girls hating themselves every single day. And it's part of the work that I do because I'm so passionate. And I so don't want these girls to have to struggle for the rest of their lives because I was that girl that didn't have self-love. I was that girl that didn't know how to love myself and it went on for too many fucking years. And I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be that case with your daughter. But your daughter needs something different. Your daughter needs to learn how to connect with herself. Your daughter needs to learn how to love herself. Your daughter needs to understand how she can become a safe space for herself. Because if she doesn't get this, if she doesn't learn this, if she doesn't understand how to do this for herself, what is this life all about? If your daughter just goes through it completely disconnected with who she is, living like a false sense of herself, faking happy. Sure, she can fake it. She can fake being happy. Is she really happy? Does she really know who she is? Does she really love herself? I mean, maybe she can say those things, but does she? I had a mother, I had a call last week, and a girl who was, I think, 16 or 17 years old, and this girl's really struggling right now. And when I asked about self-esteem, the mother said that her daughter's self-esteem is a 10 out of 10. But then 5 minutes before, the mom was also telling me that when it gets really bad, the girl is saying that she doesn't want to be here anymore, and she just wants to end it. That right there is not a 10 out of 10 on self-esteem. It's not. So we have to look at this. We have to look at what we are doing. We have to look at what approaches are you taking so your daughter can actually do the work to love herself. I was talking to a 14-year-old girl in my program today, and I asked her, what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on all of the lack of what you don't have? Are you focusing on all the things in the past that hasn't worked out for you? Of not having what you want? Or are you focusing on where you want to go? Are you focusing on who you want to be? And she's been struggling, and she said, I'm focusing on the past because she's addicted to being a disappointment for herself. And I called her out on it. And I said, look, you can go the rest of your life addicted to being a disappointment for yourself, just looking for the next way that you can become even more of a disappointment for yourself. But what's that going to give you? Disappointing life, for starters. There's no happiness there. There's no joy. There's no fulfillment. And then I asked her this. Are you willing to put in the work to change this? Yeah, Stephanie, same with my daughter. I asked her this. 14-year-old girl, I said, are you willing to put in the work? She goes, yes. I say, okay, but not just today. Every day. All day. This work, the work that I do with these girls, this is not, you do it a little bit here, a little bit there, and then done. You're done. You're fine. Good. Go. Live your life. This work, this inner work, is all day, every day. This is why I'm able to get the transformations that I get with the girls that come into my program in a relatively fast amount, a quick time frame. We're talking about my program, if you're not familiar, is 12 weeks, 3 months for your daughter to change her life. How many years has your daughter been going to therapy and still hasn't progressed, still hasn't moved forward, still hasn't gotten to where she deserves to be? And this container, this 3 months, one day at a time for the rest of their lives. Yep. These 3 months of what we are doing is really, I'm helping these girls get out of their own way. Because your daughter, if she is struggling, I'm here to tell you, she is in her own fucking way. And she has to learn how to get out of it. And she's not going to learn this on her own. She's not going to learn this from school because they don't teach this here at school. They don't teach it. She has to learn how to get out of her own way. So many girls are addicted to suffering. They are addicted to depression. They are addicted to anxiety. They are addicted to what they get from all of that because they get a sympathy card, because people feel sorry for them, because they don't get to move ahead in their lives and they get to stay safe and comfortable in what is familiar. Because that's what they've been doing for years. So that's gotten a little bit cozy. It's familiar. It's comfortable. There's no growth there. How is your daughter going to grow and then stay in her comfort zone? It feels really comfortable. And a lot of girls want to keep doing like the same therapy that they've been doing for years, but let's say it's not getting any better for them. But it's comfortable. Okay. So do you want comfortable or do you want growth and transformation? Because you can't have both. Right? Your daughter has to get out of her comfort zone if she actually wants to change. And a lot of you parents also have to get out of your comfort zone if you want to change for your daughter. Right? Something different might be uncomfortable. Something different might be, you're like, I don't know, Brianna. Seems a little, I don't know, it's a little out there, it's a little woo-woo. I hear what you're saying, but I don't know. The sad truth of all of this is that a lot of girls that come to me often hit their rock bottoms before coming into my program, and it shouldn't have to be that way. Not always, not all the time. There's plenty of parents who are getting ahead of this, and their daughter isn't in such a bad state, and they want to get ahead of it. But a lot of girls are in a bad state and they are cutting, they are having suicidal thoughts, they are depressed, they are anxious, they are having panic attacks, they can't leave their parents' side. It's that bad. But you don't have to wait till it is that bad for you to say, I want my daughter to love herself. I want my daughter to be great. I want her to be the best version of herself. I want this for my daughter. Because your daughter can have it. She can have all of that. And that is what she deserves, because nobody is here to play mediocre. Nobody, including any of your daughters, is here to play a small life. But what happens is when these girls don't have any sense of self, and they don't have this, they don't know how to connect with themselves, and they feel worthless, and they feel depressed, and they feel like the world is against them, then where do they go from there? How do they get out of that? How do they get unstuck? Again, your daughter has to learn this. And the sooner she does, the sooner your daughter learns how to stop self-sabotaging herself and get out of her own way, is the sooner your daughter steps into her greatness. Is the sooner your daughter steps into everything that she can be. It doesn't have to get worse before it gets better. For some people, it may. For others, it doesn't have to. So if I am speaking to you and you know who you are, if you're sick and tired of watching your daughter suffer, if you're sick and tired of watching your daughter struggle, then reach out to me, private message me. I'm on a mission here, and I'm not messing around. I am on a mission to help as many girls as I possibly can. Girls and young women. I do work with young women too. I'm on a mission to help these girls learn who they are, to know their worth, know their value, never settle for anything less than they deserve. And I'm on a mission to help these girls step into their greatness, their power, their confidence. And they can have it, but they just have to learn. We have teachers in school for math and science and English and history and PE. And how many of your daughters has a coach for self-love, for healing, for mastering her mind so her mind doesn't control her? It's not common. It's not common, but it is what is needed. Right? Everyone should have a coach. I have many. I've had many over the years, and I still have some. So, if what I have said speaks to you, If it's resonating with you, reach out to me. There's only so much you're going to get in a Facebook Live. But there's so much more your daughter can get if she's actually doing this work. And she's not going to get it from a self-help book. She's not going to get it from a YouTube video. She's not going to get it oftentimes from therapy. So if you want my help, reach out to me, private message me, email me, do whatever you need to do. Leave a comment below and we can schedule a call. Okay? But your daughter has to want the help. So anyways, that is what I wanted to say for today. Okay, I love you guys so much. Mwah. Bye.